In today's video, I take on Gran Turismo 7's latest daily race C, and we experience some absolutely incredible battling. The type of racing that every single sim racer wishes they could be a part of in every single race. So if you do enjoy this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, let me know in the comment section if you've had races like this as well. So we're going to start off with a standing start. Now this is a slight change again from Gran Turismo. It's a good change. A standing start in Group 4 always makes for an interesting opening lap. Now tyre wear is on ×1, however this track is a tyre killer, so you will have to make some pit stop and you will have to change your tyres. Now for this race also, it is FR cars only, another really good change. Now let me know in the comments what you think about that change. I personally like it. The only problem is, again, we do have a meta that seems to be dominating the race. However, I do like that they've gone with this again and trying different things out. I love that, you know, maybe they could mix some MRs with certain FR cars, with certain four-wheel drive cars that could make a good race as well, by just making select few cars an option. But yeah, I do like what they've done here with the FR only and the standing start. More changes like that I think is what will make Gran Turismo 7 a much more enjoyable and add a little bit of variety to the online side. So you can see here straight away from the standing start, I managed to get myself into the lead. We've got Manu behind us, and then we've got Luke there in P3. Now we're going to hold that defensive line into this braking zone. Now this corner is a really interesting one for overtaking on, which we're going to show you a little bit later on in this race. You can really do some late braking into that and get some really good overtakes done around the outside there. But this track in general actually does lead to some really good overtaking, and this is the great thing about that standing start. Just look how close the racing is on the opening lap. It definitely does provide much closer battling. Now another thing to remember for this race is slipstream is on custom again for this one. Now what that means is it's going to be basically impossible to break away from the car behind you unless they make a big mistake, because the strength of that slip will just drag them back up, and it does create some very close and entertaining racing. So I'm sure we'll get some great battles this week. But yeah, it is a little bit fictional in how it creates it, but this race is definitely an enjoyable one with strategy options available for you to take on in this race, whether you pit lap 1 if racing from the back of the grid and try and avoid all the chaos and don't change your tyres. I don't think that is the way to do it, but it is an option if you're going from the back of the grid. But yeah, the optimal way is around about lap 4, which we're going to show you after. But obviously you can pit around lap 3, 4 or 5, which again, it's all about where you want to be in the race. The better your tyres at the end is where you want to be in terms of fighting, so always factor that into your strategy choices. You can see there Manu got the move done into turn 1. I wasn't sure if he was going to have enough of the car up the inside, so we left the door open. However, that slipstream strength just gives us the opportunity to go straight back up the inside and put ourselves back up into P1. So like I say, this custom slipstream is going to give some good racing here, but like I've said many a times, I still think real would be better for Group 4 races, especially because it's a little bit easier to follow in Group 4 anyway. But you can see there behind us, we have another Spanish driver that has managed to put himself up into P2, and now we're going to have to go a little bit defensive against a different driver. So let's see how we cope with this one. We're still in the lead of the race. We're just middle way of lap 2 here. Incredibly long lap on this one. It's obviously a long track, and it's an absolute tyre killer of a track, and that is why even on ×1 tyre wear, a tyre change is actually recommended with racing medium tyres on, because it's more about thermal heat on the tyres that is created with this combination. It actually builds up your tyre temperatures massively with these long fast corners. They just really build that heat up on the right front, and it just overheats it, so it just works out better to change the tyres. Now we're going to go defensive here, but you can see there Luke goes for a bit of a send up the inside, slight little tap on our car, and then he gets sent by a different car up the inside, which then puts him back behind both of them. So we're managing to hold on to P2. You can see there the Spanish driver gets himself into the lead of the race, and now we're going to just try and see if we can get back into that lead and go for a move somewhere. You can see he goes a little bit deep onto the brakes there. I think he just misjudged that corner, but he gets that better exit line now, and he's going to be able to hold onto the important inside line for this corner. As long as you've got the inside, there's no way anyone could go around the outside. That is too tricky, and just be very careful on the curbs on that section of track. I've done it multiple times. I've seen many other drivers doing it. The curb will fling you out if you just hit it slightly wrong, so just be very careful as you're going through there. But we're coming to the end of lap 2 now, and now we're going to get into that slipstream with P2. Now we can see here we get the slipstream. However, he's going to go to the left and give it to his fellow Spaniard there, and Manu is going to be able to get that slipstream, and with the power of the custom slipstream he's going to be able to get his car alongside and up into P2. So I'm going to drop down to P3 now. So we're going to have to try and figure a way to get back towards the lead of this race, whether it's by going for an overtake or maybe a strategy. You could technically go for a pit stop at the end of lap 3. However, I didn't really want to do that because in this situation, while we're in the slip, if you go early, you might gain, what, 6-7 temps, but they're going to be back into your slipstream, and basically you're just going to lose them positions with worn tyres at the end. So we can see Manu goes for a move now on his fellow Spaniard there, and then that gives me the opportunity to get alongside P2 and a bit of slipstream from Manu, and now down the left. Now we're going to go 3 wide into this corner, and this is a move that I'm talking about into this braking zone. I've done it multiple times. You go very, very deep, use first gear to rotate it. You can go incredibly late on the brakes, and then that gives you the inside to this next left-hand corner. It's worked an absolute treat for me yesterday. I've managed to get quite a lot of moves done with that one. And yeah, try it out. You get a lot of grip in the braking zone. For some reason, you seem to have a little bit more on the outside line, and you can brake that much later and then just give yourself the inside from the next line, next corner. Now you can see, though, we're going to have the cars going, trying to go around the outside. Now, one thing about this corner is you hold the inside line, keep your tyre close to the curb. They will find it basically impossible to go around the outside of that corner. There is no grip on the outside. All the grip is right up on the curb. So yeah, factor that in when you're defending for that corner. But you see, this time we don't need to go defensive into this next right hand corner. They're still battling behind us, and that's actually going to free us up a little bit here. You can see we actually get half a second gap. Now half a second with custom slipstream basically means nothing, because they'll catch you back up straight away. And you can see as we come in on the next lap, on for lap 4 here, they're right up behind us. Now keep your eye in the mirror here. He goes to go for an overtake, but I don't think he realizes how close to the corner he was, and just understeers straight into the wall. So that knocks him back down to P4, I think it is, and now we've got Manu back behind us. Now, the plan is to pit on this lap 4. Like I say, there's so many risks and ways of doing this. You can go that lap 5, however, on lap 5, your tyres are starting to fade. Now, the risk of going to lap 5 is, if everyone behind you, you can see how many, we've got 3 cars right behind us. If we go to lap 5, we're going to lose 3 positions, and then we've got to overtake 3 cars in 3 laps, which is going to be very, very difficult, as we see them battling behind us there. Side-by-side action with Luke and Manu there. And this is what it's great for, this track. The side-by-side racing is what it's all about, and it is a great week for battling, I would say. It might not be the best week for car variety, but you are going to see a lot of great fights on this daily race scene. You can see it's actually helped me out again, that battle. It's gave myself the ability to pull away, and a bit of a comfort zone. We can take a nice smooth line through there, and then just not worry in the braking zone too much. Now, by the time we get to the pit stop phase, you can see here we're still in the lead, and we're going to go for that lap 4 pit because it was too risky to go for lap 5. We had a 4/10 gap, but if we carry on, they all pit. We lose 3 positions, and then we've got a lot of work to do to get ourselves back into the lead of the race. So playing it safe there with a lap 4 pit, and you can see everyone else went for the same strategy in this race. Now you can see, although we've got a bit of a gap behind us, that is going to be shortened very, very quickly, because this is all about the slipstream. This section of track, you just go flat out, and they gain incredibly on you. This, because it goes uphill, the slipstream really gives your car a boost when you're behind. And you can see there, Manu catching us up massively there, almost into a point where he'd be able to have a little look at going for an overtake, but unfortunately for him, a little bit too far behind. So we're just going to take that normal line and then try and get on the throttle, and then we're going to stay to the right hand side here to cover the inside, so we can't go for an overtake into this braking zone. Now, like I said though, you can go very deep, but I don't think a lot of people have been trying it. You can brake incredibly late, and you can see there we managed to hold on to that position, keep that nice tight apex, get on the throttle, and now we can take the inside line. Now we are compromised slightly because we went a little bit defensive. You can see he's going to get a better exit, and he does get a much better exit there, but as he goes to turn the car, I think he actually gives us a little bit of a bump draft there by mistake, and actually pushes our car forward. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get the car over to the left again. Make sure we cover this left hand side. That is how you need to defend this corner. Try not to be too tight to the left, because if you're right up against it, you'll have no ability to turn the car through this long fast corner. But if you just hold a reasonable line through there, you can defend it. They can't go around the outside, and then you've got the inside for the next corner. Now you can see there we're battling out still, 3 cars very, very close together, and then you've got further 3 cars right behind that. So that is the way this race is going to be. The fighting will bring other cars into it, and you're going to have some very, very close racing this week. And I think you're going to see a lot of people having some very fun races and some very frustrating races as well, especially with the way the curbs are on this track. And you can see as we come through that tight corner there, Manu's getting attacked by his fellow Spaniard there, but he manages to hold on to that position, and we're just going to be able to hold on to the lead now. Now you can see there's 2 cars in front of us. They're not really involved with this battle. They've gone for that extra lap, but they're not fighting for the lead, so we're not too worried about them at this stage. We're going to be quite a bit ahead of them. So as we start finish lap 5, start lap 6, you can see there we've got the Spanish driver right up behind us that's managed to get himself ahead of Manu there. And now we're going to try and break that slipstream briefly on this straight, just so he doesn't get too close to be able to go for a move on the left hand side. So you can see I'm holding the left, he's going to go over to the right, and now we can put our car into the middle of the track when we know he's gone over. And then again, just use that curve for a bit of rotation in turn 1. It really does help. It helps rotate the car through the corner and makes it very difficult for the car behind to go for any sort of overtake. So again, we're in that situation where it's single file through here. It's basically impossible to go through an overtake through this section. It's just follow the leader. And again, we're going to go over to the left hand side just to make sure we defend this next fast left hand corner. So ideally you want to put the car in the middle of the track like we've done here, and again just try and get that left hand tire to get as close to the curb as possible. It is again another corner that's really difficult to go round the outside of, but it can be done on that corner. We managed to do it a few times, and I've seen other people do it. You can actually get it round the outside there if you manage to hold on. You do have to rely on the car on the inside not to run you wide, which on Gran Turismo 7 isn't always going to work, but yeah, it can be done. So again, we've managed to hold on here on lap 6. We've got a bit of a gap again as they're fighting a little bit there. You can see a couple of attempts, and you can see the car behind goes a little bit wide there. That's again going to free us up into this section, but with that power of that custom slip, he's going to gain all the way. So again, I'm going to have to go slightly defensive here. We go a little bit of a narrow line, but not too bad. Pretty much normal line. But you can see I missed the apex on this corner. I missed the curb, and you can see the way the car's starting to understand. That's why it's so important to get right up to the curb there, because the curb just helps rotate the car through the corner. So you really want to get right up to it, use that curb, let it rotate the car, and then it will just stop also building up too much heat in that tyre. Because when you run the line that I just did there, what happens is the tyre starts overheating because you're putting so much strain on that right front tyre. But again, you can see we're managing to defend quite well now. He's going to have a little look there, but he can't really go around the outside there. You lose a bit of momentum. We're going to go defensive, and now he's going to just try and maybe do a little bit of a cutback. But Manu sees an opportunity behind us. He sees a gap. He manages to get himself up into P2, and now we're going to have to defend from Manu for the last 2 laps here. So again, just trying to be very careful on that curb there. That curb is a curb that gives me nightmares with how easy it will flick the car out and crash you into the wall. So again, onto the final straight now, going over the line in a minute, and you can see there Manu goes for a little bit of a wider line to try and give himself better acceleration. You can see he's picked up the slipstream, but we're going to stay to the left hand side, and you can see I think Manu that time was a little bit too close to us. If he would have been a little bit further back, he would have picked up a bit more slipstream, and you can see we're pretty much equal there. He is still gaining a little bit, but it's not enough to go around the outside. And again, we're just going to use that curb to try and rotate us through the corner and just hold the tight line. There's nothing they can do behind you when you hold that tight line through there. It's no way of really overtaking. So again, on this section, it's single file, and Manu's just going to wait behind there and try and pick up the slipstream for the next corner. So again, we're going to go to the right hand side this time, because it looks like he got a little bit of a bump from the car behind possibly there, and it's just stopped his ability to go through an overtake. So again, we're going to take a very tight line through here, use that curb, let it help us rotate it through the corner, and then just try and get a good exit from this corner. Now we're going to keep the car over to the right hand side just to make sure that we cover this line again. It's always important to do that if you're going into this corner. You can see Manu's going to go very, very wide, but again, it doesn't break too late there, which gives us the ability to just get on that throttle and hold the inside line for this next left-hand corner. You can see that's what we've done. And again, Manu's going to go for that better exit speed as he comes out of the left-hand corner. And again, I'm going to go over to the left-hand side to make sure that we defend this left, because although it's going to give us the outside for this corner, it's then going to give us the inside for the important corner. Again, all about holding this inside corner and just defending as close to the curb as you can, because like I've said multiple times, it's basically impossible to go around the outside there. So again, quite a good defensive job here, and now we're going to stay to the right hand side and defend the next right hand corner. You see Manu's going to try and go deep and then try and cut back a little bit, but we've got that inside line and we've managed to cover that without any real effort there. It's just about just keep it nice and tight onto the throttle, go a little bit wide there, use a little bit of the grass, but no real loss of time. we managed to hold on, and we've got a bit of a gap here that we probably won't need to go too defensive in the braking zone. You can see I kind of go to a little bit to the left, but not too drastically. Still give myself enough turning point, and now we're going to be able to hold through here. Now you can see we're going to stay to the right because he's got a really good run through there, but again, as long as I stay to the right here, he's not going to be able to go for an overtake, and he won't go for an overtake around the outside there because it will never work. So everyone always waits behind there and then tries to get the slipstream for the final lap. So as we come through here, we've got a car in front, obviously, that hasn't pitted yet. He's not in the lead of the race. He's going to have to go into the pits this lap, which I'm pretty sure he's going to go in there now. So he's into the pits to probably do a no tyre change strategy. But like I've said, it's not the optimal way. You will lose out overall in that strategy. It can work sometimes maybe, but in general, it's not going to work really if you've got people with pretty good pace and obviously doing the 4-4 strategy. Now again, managed to hold that line through the long left-hand corner here, but Manu now is in that slipstream, and he's going to want to try and go for an overtake on this final lap. This is the final lap of the race, and he is going to want to go for that overtake. So make sure you keep watching because you're about to witness some absolutely incredible racing. Now this move by Manu was actually pretty good. I think it's a really difficult move to do. He manages to go very deep around the outside here. Now what this relies on though, when you go for the move that Manu is doing, that the car on the inside doesn't just run you wide. You can see that we give him the space up to the curb. Now some people will just run you off there, so you have to be careful going for that, but we give him the space. But now we're going to go for that outside brake. You can see just how late we can brake on that outside line and slow the car down. Now we're still side by side after going side by side through that long left hand corner, and we've just about got enough of the car up the inside there that we're still going side by side. This is what we all want from sim racing in my view. Everyone who sim races, whether it's iRacing, Assetto Corsa, Gran Turismo, any game out there, you want racing like this. Again, going side by side. And now we've given ourselves that tight line for this long, fast left-hand corner. And you can see this is where we managed to get ourselves back in the lead, because you just cannot hang it around the outside of that corner. It's basically impossible. You will just understeer and lose out massively. So Manu wisely backs out, gets himself back into the slipstream, and then he's going to try and go deep into this corner, is he? And try and get that better exit. He does. He goes very deep there and tries to square it off. But you can see we managed to hold a really good line and actually get pretty good exit from that corner. And now we should be able to defend into this next left-hand corner. It's all going to come down to the really tricky corner with the curbs and that final corner trying to get a good exit. And then it's going to probably be a drag race all the way to the finish here. So keep an eye on this, as it's going to get very, very close. As Manu again getting really close here, but again, we've got the right positioning on the track. He's not going to be able to go for an overtake. And again, we're going to use them curbs, attack this curb. We do it quite nicely, but Manu, you see there behind, gets a bit better run on the exit. And this compromises me. You see, I'm going to have to go defensive, and I'm very, very tight to this final corner. So we're compromised already. We try and get on that throttle as early as we can, but we run ever so slightly wide, briefly get the left-hand tyre onto the grass, and now it is going to be a drag race all the way to the finish, which we're just about holding on to at the moment. And as we go over the line, you can see just how close it was. Manu manages to take the win, but to be honest with you, I feel like everyone involved with that battle was a winner, because I don't mind losing in a race like that. It's just so entertaining, and I think everyone wants to be involved with races like that. So if you did enjoy that, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back for more videos in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.